Hello, welcome to my channel, The Ascension Guide. I'm your guide, Joe Martin. Today's podcast, we have a very special guest, Sam The Illusionist. He's been on before and we had an awesome conversation, and I look forward to where this goes today. There's been a ton of new information since the last time we've talked that have come out, and lots of stuff going on as always. So, Sam, how you been, my friend?
Yeah, brother, thank you so much for inviting me again. It's been amazing ride kind of lots of new things we have learned. Um, yeah, and yeah, I think we have also channeled some new information
Yeah,
regarding yeah. So yeah, it's been very wonderful and amazing.
awesome. So, you've been probably just over a year now that you've been channeling, right? You're probably like what, a year and a half or so, something like that.
Yeah. It's just been 1.5 years. I started around the month of December in 2020.
Oh, cool.
2000, wait, 2000, it's 20, yeah. So yeah, it's around 1.5 years, approximately about to be 2 years in December.
And so much has happened in that short amount of time. I know it's crazy how I've seen your evolution because I think I found you around maybe around September that year. And was watching your videos every day and seeing your evolution. And then shortly thereafter, I started channeling. And it was really cool to see both of our kind of evolution. And then we were getting similar information that was coming through. And, we had talked about that on the last podcast. But yeah, I mean, my life too, just in the past year since it started, has just been insane. Like it's one thing after another, after another, after another. So it's been very cool. Is there been any other big growth in what you're doing? I know I see you get some cool gifts every once in a while from fans and stuff like that. Has there been other things that you've been kind of getting into since this, has been brought to you?
Yeah, basically, yeah, I just am focusing on application of the techniques that they have given because I've noticed that when we apply it, you see like a big change in your level of consciousness or presence or whatever. And yeah, I have just been trying to figure out a way of helping other people as well as myself to apply the teachings, because in every single video they give us a simple method which we can apply, and I have been trying to master some of them. Basically, the one that I am focusing right now is the one with where they said that our consciousness is affected by sound.
Mm.
So yeah, so what they have said is whenever we have a thought in our mind, it's actually sound, and we have we have the sound which is emerging from our throat energy center, and it affects our consciousness. So any kind of sound, it could just, I mean, it could just be music. Like some people, when they listen to too much music, they have this line repeating over and over again. I think it happens with many people. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even that, yeah, even that, causes some kind of, disturbance in our consciousness. I mean, every single sound vibration affects, they said. So the best thing is to stay in silence, right? Do not allow any sound vibration to come in. So I've been trying to, master this, and yeah, I've seen some really amazing changes. Yeah, one of the things that I noticed, is that time seems to go a little bit slower than before.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because I noticed that, whenever we are talking to our own self, time seems really short. But and even the things that I do right now, using the method, if I'm focusing on silence, it feels like it stretches out, like you are more in the present moment and you can do things faster. You don't have this, this entity maybe that talks with you, right? Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know I got a message not too long ago about time, and they kind of said like, you know, what wall squats are when you're sitting against the wall, like doing an exercise. They were like doing that for 1 minute compared to talking with a friend for a minute. It's two totally different, time
Yeah.
and spaces, and your perception of that time and space, which made me think to what you were talking about is interesting because that you brought this up. Because I was thinking about that the other day of how we could apply if we could slow down time and how that could, I mean, the possibilities that could open up from there. I mean, if you could think about slowing down time and what you could do, or if you're an athlete or a fighter or anything like that. I mean, there's the possibilities are limitless. So it's funny that you brought that up, and some of the techniques that they've kind of shown us to do that, where we can, or time passes like that and we can go through a long, period of something intense where it goes really quickly because we've learned to, shift our focus and stuff like that. So it's very cool.
Yeah. I think there is a lot of application with this, like you said. And I think there is some kind of effect on time, or maybe it's our experience. Whenever we try these kind of techniques, we see a subtle change in our own reality, and based on our own experience, we may find that something is working or something is not working. I mean, it depends on the person, right? Each person has a different style of things. But yeah, I believe that whenever we are focusing on our consciousness, or trying to improve, or trying to apply these teachings, there is some kind of effect, not only on our level, but also on other people's consciousness. So your vibration, like if you change, it affects a lot of people. I mean, most people, yeah, I mean, most people, I think about this, like you may have felt the same. If you change a vibration, many people will feel the same, I mean, change, and they will change, the response will be different. Yeah. So I think it's very important.
And I think it's important too because we can see how it works in both directions, because there's people who can come in that are negative that can clear a room real quickly and suck the life out of it. And then there's people that can come in and brighten it up and, make everybody happy too. So it's really interesting to see how it goes both ways. And I've definitely experienced being that person that can make it go both ways before I learned how, all of these tips and things to help me kind of protect my energy and not be influenced by these, entities, how whatever you want to describe them as. And so it's interesting to be able to see it firsthand of what I used to experience and how I was kind of, an amplifier for negative at times, and then now how I've learned to control that and be, in that other side in the light and be able to amplify that energy. So that's been very cool. I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about some of these abilities, and I know they give you little tips and tricks, as they do to me too. One thing that I've been very curious about as of late is magic, and not necessarily the illusion magic, but what perhaps is real magic. Have you got any insight or anything like that in that realm?
Oh, yeah. I think real magic is like the thing that for me, I believe that if we can use our thoughts, and if we can create something which I mean, like we can plan ahead, like controlling our reality kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So I feel that's like pure magic. And yeah, I mean, I have tried a lot of the methods, and it does seem to have a lot of effect on the outcome. Like for example, there was one video where Metatron was talking about the law of assumption, and yeah, I believe many people also they talked about it. Like there was Neville Goddard who was talking about law of assumption, and yeah, I mean, you can just play around with it, and you'll see that based on what you're assuming, things go differently. I mean,
Hmm.
you can just change. You can just become conscious of what you're assuming, and they have given a very simple method. If you are having trouble with assuming a certain thing, the question is by asking yourself, what am I assuming at this moment? So that question will give you the ability to become conscious of what you are assuming at this moment. And if you're assuming something, like many people, they unconsciously assume something they don't want. So if they're assuming fear, if they are thinking about the thing that they don't want to happen, but they are thinking about it, so they are assuming that thing, and they are receiving the vibration of that thing happening, so it will happen. So this is one of the techniques that really, I mean, help me. And I have applied it in many ways. Like once my pet was, I mean, gone. Mm, I mean, gone from my house. So I wasn't able to find her. But then I remembered this teaching, and then I asked myself, how will I, what am I assuming right? And at that moment, I was assuming that anxious feeling of not having the loved one. So then I changed it to, as if, she was already with me. So, and, the next morning, I found her.
Mhm.
Yeah, many people may say that this is coincidence, but I believe that that this is kind of like spiritual magic, and I have done it many times by using this technique. Like by asking the question, what am I assuming right now? And then, it actually happens in just, it just takes some time.
That's amazing.
So,
It's
yeah,
similar to I had gotten a message a while back about we always say, well, what if it goes wrong, or what if I do bad, or what if this? And it's like, well, what if it goes right? What if it goes
yeah,
well?
yeah,
What if you do really well? And when you start reframing, it's kind of that similar to what you're saying, where you make that assumption of, am I assuming it's going to go bad, or am I assuming it's going to go right? And so I think that's very important for people to change their mindset about how they deal with things. And I think when we kind of understand the law of attraction a little bit better too, and it's not so much about, making your vision board and you want a car and stuff, it's you be the vibration that you want to attract. And so once you're that vibration of these different emotions, then that's when you're going to attract those things that you want. So I think that's all kind of interplaying in the same kind of field there.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And also, one of the things that I realized, in this kind of thing is, even like a thought, for example, even a word or an image, which we have in our mind. We have multiple images on our minds on a daily basis. Even a single image, can, take us into that vibration. So it's like it's happening to us all the time, and
Mhm.
many of us, we are totally unconscious, right? If we don't know about this, we will be unconscious, and we will play the different vibrations. We'll allow it to be, absorbed by our body, and then it will travel to our higher self, and then it will happen. So that's what I was given, as far as I know from my channeling, and I think, you may have received the same kind of information.
Yes.
So basically, yeah, what I know about this is that, whenever we have an image, or whenever we have a sound or a word, we are actually, like, absorbing. We are going towards that timeline, whether people realize this or not. I mean, if you're thinking something like positive, then you are going towards that timeline. Your vibration is shifting slowly towards that. And if you're thinking something negative, it's shifting towards the negative. So, yeah, it's a very kind of skill set, I believe, that people need to master as they evolve spiritually. And this is one of the, I think, the greatest tools with regards to spiritual magic, or the real kind of magic which you were referring to.
Yeah. And on those same lines, the information that I received was, and that's a big part of, the reason why you see headlines that are so negative all the time, because that little image or that word gets put in your head, and then it lowers your vibration, and then the collective consciousness gets lowered that much more every time somebody reads one of those headlines or whatever it is. And so you see how they're just constantly trying to keep us at this low vibration as we try to ascend through. So being aware of those things and being able to read that headline kind of indifferently instead of letting it, lower your vibration is sort of what the key is there. So yeah, it's crazy how once we're aware and we start to see all these things and, notice it throughout the world, and it's like, man, it becomes more and more obvious, and it becomes helpful to know, how to protect ourselves from that too, because I think a lot of people don't understand it and they get caught up on it. And even when people do understand it, a lot of people, even at that point, don't know how to protect themselves from it, or to how to, kind of raise their vibration or protect it from getting that. Have you gotten any I'm sure we've gotten similar information, but just out of curiosity, like how have they described to you to protect your energy from things like that, or things that you can do?
Yeah, so, I will give you my experience, as well as, what I have learned about protecting the energy. Basically, in one of the session, I believe it was Ra, who I had channeled, and they had stated in the session that there is a method known as tuning all our energy centers. Okay, so we have our energy centers. So all of our energy centers, we can tune it into a certain emotion. So, I try to do this, every morning. It works really well. So what I do basically is, I wake up in the morning, and then I choose a wonderful emotion that I want to feel throughout the daytime. Okay, let's say I want to feel love. I just choose one emotion because, single emotion has more like power, and
Hmm.
it's easier to feel. So, for example, I want to feel, you know, happiness. Let's say happiness, right? And then, I just allow that word happiness and the emotion to just, travel throughout the energy centers. Like, it's like an explosion. Like, just imagine, winning a fight, right? Winning a fight, or maybe winning a competition, and then you just go, wow, that's so, that explosion of emotion, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I just do that a couple of times in the morning. just explode the energy centers with that emotion. And then I have noticed that you pretty much become immune if you just do it on a daily basis. You become immune to any negativity. And nowadays, I have noticed that even if people are like saying bad things, it doesn't matter, because I am my body and the energy centers are at that level of vibration. So it it doesn't like gel in with the other emotions. So yeah, this is one of the methods. And have you received any similar?
Yeah, that's one of the, exactly what you said at the end, especially was, once you're at a certain vibration, they can't affect you anymore. They can't go that high. And so once we allow ourselves to dip down is when we're susceptible. So keeping that high vibration, one tip that they had given me going out like into public and stuff is, imagine yourself surrounded in a white ball of light and then having like a golden shield around it that only allows, you determine what kind of energy you want to experience. So if you're a medium and you still want to talk to, so and so, then you say, a golden shield that only allows this, or divine energy, or whatever it is, so that you're specific with, you kind of have your gatekeeper set up or whatever. But using that has been helpful to me. And I know that I use Palo Santo. Are you familiar with that for smudging? It's a wood. It's Palo Santo means holy wood, and I think it's grown in Peru or something. Don't quote me on that, but it has this really sweet smell to it, and when you burn it, it's similar to sage. But from what I've learned is that sage is like a vacuum. It just sucks out all energy, positive or negative or whatever. It doesn't leave anything behind. So Palo Santo is like a transmuter. It turns everything, and it also has that. So it gets rid of the negative energy and replaces it with positive energy, essentially. So to when you want to smudge your house or anything like that, it's just kind of a nice alternative. So if you do use sage, what they say to do is after you sage, um, burn incense that's like rosewood or something of that to replace with positive energy. So it's not just like a void left behind, are a couple of the ways that they've said. And you also use
Yeah,
you did a
that's
method with like holy water or something like that too, didn't you?
yeah. That is what I do before I channel. So basically, before I enter into the trance state of channeling, I use a simple method of like taking a glass of water, like I have over here. You can take any glass of water and just say like good things like "Thank you," "I love you," "You're different," "You're amazing." Just say that for like 1 or 2 minutes, and then this is actually scientifically proven. There was
Yeah,
a scientist in Japan. Yeah.
yeah,
So most people think that we are making this stuff up, but it's actually even proven by science that if we say positive things, then even the water crystallizes into positivity. Then it's very simple. I just drink it, and then I just rub it on my body, especially my energy centers. And yeah, it's like what it does, I believe, is it has that when you say good things, it takes the vibration of positivity and it retains it. So
mm,
I believe the water is able to retain the vibration.
yes,
It's able to hold whatever you give it. So that way you are protected for I think a long time. And yeah, they have said I need to place the water uh, on the crown center, pointing towards the north. So that's I believe because we are also like a magnet. We have a North Pole and a South Pole, and Earth is also like a magnet with the North and the South Pole. So I believe it helps. Something happens. Okay, like I think your energy is aligned. It flows well. Instead
mm,
of like if you are facing some other direction, there may be the energy may be blocked, I believe. So yeah, that's these are one of the methods. And other important thing is like you said before, not to watch like too much negative news, and especially the mainstream media. I don't watch them, unless they are talking about UFOs or aliens, because that I find it interesting. Other than that, I don't watch any of the news stuff, because they always, and most of the time, I feel that they're trying to just get your attention, like you said, with a
yeah,
negative remark or negative word. Yeah,
right.
it just has some kind of effect on you.
Hmm.
I mean, most people, they are not aware that by watching negative stuff, they are affecting their own consciousness. It
Right.
becomes harder to purify yourself. And if you just don't watch any negativity, it's way easier. to just become, to allow yourself to be purified. And yeah, that's what I use. And do you have any protocols you follow for channeling?
Yeah, so it's funny because I don't actually the only place that I channel is when I go meet with the lady who I wrote the book with and stuff. And the place that there it's a really high vibe building. Everybody who works there does like energy healing and all that. There's crystals all throughout the building. So like as soon as I start going up the stairs, I can always tell where my vibration is because I'll either start to buzz as I go up the stairs or I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm good. And so we go there and it's always calling in Jesus and Archangel Michael to kind of protect the space and to make sure that no negative entities can be involved. And then like we had the issue, I think it was one of the first or second times. So as I was channeling Ariah, who I channel, had said something about Ra coming through the next time because I guess I have like a blue avian heritage or something to that effect. And so when I started to channel the next time, or I thought I was channeling, I was still like in my subconscious mind, and they were showing me they did it on purpose. They made a plant in my mind so that I would purposefully go through that experience so that I could understand that it's a process and I need to be at a certain level of consciousness when I'm doing this so that I can't be interfered with and all these other things. So it was very interesting to me, and it also um it whittled down a lot of the channelers that I was listening to previous to that. And you're one of the few that I still, trust and think that is getting, I think there's a lot of people who don't have any idea what they're doing and they're tapping into who knows what and getting information from all kinds of different sources. So I think that's a little bit worrisome with a lot of the people who aren't fully understanding what they're doing and they're just kind of whoever wants to talk, I'll talk to. And they can do a lot of crazy things. Like you had mentioned in a channeling session before how with Moses and the getting the Ten Commandments and how he was, tricked from whatever. So it's like you think of all of those different things and how they have, and that's one of the things in my book too, is how they said they've had a millennia of learning how to disguise themselves and to make us think and to make it seem like it's our free will, that is doing that, or and how they can manipulate and all these other things. So that's what cautions me when I hear a lot of them. So when I heard that you were, had your whole protection scheme, thing that they had told you to do and all that stuff, that's where I was like, okay, I don't know that all these other channelers are kind of participating in those same rituals and stuff. So not saying that they're not getting good information or anything. I'm not trying to discredit anybody, but there is a process to it. And I don't know that everybody is kind of going through that same process. Have you kind of had the similar experience or understanding?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I believe, like you said, it's possible to receive information from an entity which is posing to be positive. Yeah, because that's they can do that, because they can disguise themselves as being positive and give you a mixed information which may not be entirely positive. So I believe, one of the best things to do is always like, um, if you feel loving vibrations coming out of it, then obviously it has to be positive, and that's how I usually discern. Because whenever I'm listening to some channeling session, if my inner guidance system like goes, like says that it's not right, then I just, I mean, it's like a guidance system we all have within ourselves. And whenever we are listening to something that's actually true, I believe you feel it within your own heart, like
Yeah.
it's like true. You already know it's true, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I I basically trust, because nowadays, like you said, and especially with channeling, it's really hard to tell, like who is really channeling and who is actually like tuning into something else, like you said,
Correct.
tuning into some negative entities maybe, or some other entities disguising as negative. So yeah, I always just trust my inner heart, so
Yeah.
that's the best yeah, to use, and that's what they say, to use discernment, yeah,
Right.
in all the session. So do you
Absolutely.
have any yeah, so how do you like whenever you're listening to a session, okay, like from any channeler, how do you actually evaluate it? Is it the same
Same as
process,
just what
or
you said. I kind of, I kind of tune in and let them kind of, that doesn't seem right, or yeah, that seems good, or that seems possible, or because sometimes there are things that we hear that we may have never channeled before or anything like that that do seem, there's still stuff that sounds crazy, no matter how far we get into this, there's always something new where it's like, I don't know, that's kind of, and so there's still always that and coming around. So I'm always open-minded, but there's certain things with the one thing that I definitely try to do is, if there's any kind of fear behind the message, I know it's not the angelic realm. And that's the only people that I really deal with anyway. So I don't, anything beyond that, I'm not sure. But I know that if it resonates and it has some sort of fear behind the message, I kind of am like, yeah, I don't know about all that. I did want to ask you though, because when I first started channeling, especially when I would connect with Ariah, my body would shake like really intensely, like I'd be super cold, almost like I was shivering, like my whole body would, to try to adjust to their energy frequency. Did you similar experience something similar when you would channel the angelic realm?
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed that whoever we are channeling, even after the session ends, we can feel their vibration for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting stuff, which happens. So if I am channeling, let's say the Galactic Federation, or if I'm channeling the angelic beings, there's a different type of vibration I feel after the session. I have noticed that, it's like, it's very hard to describe in words, but it's much like, let's just say you have two friends, okay? Like you have two friends, both of them are good friends, um, but you can actually, like, you feel a little bit different for one friend and a little bit different. There is the a difference in feeling. It's very hard to say in words, and that's the kind of thing that I have noticed whenever I'm channeling these beings. It remains, the energy remains for some time, and yeah, I think you may have felt the same, like
Yeah.
shivering and all. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm actually doing a little right
I
now. Then starting to
right
pick
now,
up on stuff.
is it
Yeah.
like, are you
Yeah.
tuning into something or what?
I think just because we're talking, I think when I get around other people who are high vibe or doing the same thing, I just start to naturally kind of elevate and start to tune in and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Ability, like to do it, waking up, because I cannot do it like waking up.
Oh, really?
That's I haven't tried. I haven't tried means I cannot focus actually when I'm waking up. I mean, my mind is like not that clear. I'm still working on that, to get to that space of silence. And
Mm,
I think when people get to the silence, that sweet spot, they can tune into any vibration. So yeah, that's my struggling point. That's
mm.
what I struggle with in the waking daytime. Yeah. So I think if you are able to do that, that's excellent. You have good, that bearing with that inner silence, and yeah, it's amazing.
Um, so I've never had anybody speak through me where they're actually talking when I'm awake. I get like downloads or like visions, or they'll say something, stuff like that. But I've never actually, like, I talked to another channeler I do a thing with every once in a while, and she can do that where she's awake and she can just kind of tune in and have people speak through her. So I'm not at that level yet, but I do get like daily messages or downloads, or they'll say something or have a comment about whatever, and I get stuff like that. But most of my channeling session, or all of my actual channeling sessions, have been through the hypnosis, where, and I was going to ask you that too. When I come out of the hypnosis state, I don't remember anything until I go back and listen to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
recording. Are you the same way?
Yeah, yeah, same way. It's like a dream, like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in the dream state, you are there, but as soon as you wake up, I think it has something to do with our state of consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, same thing happens in our dream. We are in a different state when we are channeling. So we are in a, like, close to sleep state, and then we get the information, and we feel like we know the information at the point, even if we are conscious. But then when you wake up, it's gone, like, because you're in a different state, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the fascinating things. And I have to actually watch my sessions, and then I have to take some notes to actually remember what they're saying.
Mm,
And I think the same thing happens with you, because yeah,
yeah.
whenever we're doing hypnosis or trance channeling, I think it is very common, I believe, that people forget what
Yeah.
they have received. And I don't remember much of the sessions, even if you ask me right now. I mean, I mean, I cannot tell you in detail, what I have received. I can just give you, like, the techniques I can remember. Like if they say, you just focus on this, that's easy to remember. But the other stuff is very hard to remember.
Yeah,
And I think, is it
exactly.
same with you?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's so funny. But what's funny too is, and I'm curious if this happens with you, is somebody will say something or I'll think of something, and then all of a sudden I'll remember like a blurb of it, and I'm like, oh, and it'll just kind of come back, and like it's like a little memory gets triggered or something that reminds me of certain things. Or if I'm listening to the recording, sometimes I will remember certain parts of things that happened as I'm listening to it, and then it's afterwards it's like basically gone again. But it's
Oh,
interesting
yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's true. That happens. Yeah. Sometimes, the
so
memories. Yeah.
sorry, we got like 7.5 minutes before we have to switch over. So I just wanted we don't get into anything too, but I think we got about enough time to answer this question. So I'm curious, who is the most like memorable vibration that you've felt? Because like you said, everybody kind of has their own signature and everybody is a little bit different in the way that they feel when they come through. Who has been like your most favorite or memorable or anything like that?
Yeah, I really enjoy connecting with the Pleiadians,
Mm,
because their energy is like very loving kind of energy. It feels very refreshing to connect with that. It's much like, whenever you're tired, okay, suppose you're tired and then you get the required sleep, and then just imagine the feeling like fully refreshed. Yeah,
mm,
I feel like that.
mm,
So yeah, I like their energy, and yeah, other energies, like Archangel Michael, or maybe I'm channeling the Galactic Federation. They are more like masculine kind of energy, like very
mm.
strong presence you can
Yeah.
feel. Yeah, it's very different, like you say. And what about you?
Definitely Jesus. Jesus was like a whole different level of, and it was funny. I had a client yesterday. We do energy healing now and stuff since I got that gift from Jesus actually. But his presence is like you said, that loving, but there's like 15 other different emotions in the same thing that's so hard to like describe, that it's like this powerfulness, it's this like assertiveness, like all these different things wrapped in this love. And it was just a whole nother type of experience when yeah, I'm like getting all shaky now talking about it, but it was pretty intense. That was the most, Ariah is, Jesus is the only one, well, Ariah is the only one who's ever actually spoken through me. I have met these other beings in these states where Jesus is, kind of telepathically given me messages, and he gave me the healing ability to do what I do now. But like the energy though that he was compared to the other ones that I felt was just something totally unreal. Have you channeled Jesus before?
Yeah, I have. I mean, channeling Jesus was very difficult to get through, because they said that that I have to do a whole procedure. Firstly, calling the archangels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Yeah, I have channeled. I think I have channeled once or twice, and since then, it was so exhaustive. To be
Yeah.
fair,
Yeah.
I mean, it took a lot of the energy. So I felt like, instead of, trying to channel Jesus, and they said, I mean, I tried once or twice, I was not able to tap into the energy. It was so, different and so hard for me to actually like tap into it. So I decided, like, I'm not going to try, anymore, because, I have other beings, who are waiting, who are easy to access. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah, I had a few sessions. One or two got deleted, unfortunately, last time. Yeah, YouTube took it down. So
Yeah.
yeah, brother. Actually, the thing is, I have to sleep. So can we
Okay.
end this? Yeah, can we end this? Can we end this session here, so that I can share it on my YouTube playlist? So you put the video in your channel, and then I'll share it on my YouTube playlist, so that way you'll get
Absolutely.
views
Yeah.
on your channel. Yeah, like the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's how I do
appreciate
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you being on. It was a great conversation, and we should definitely do this more often because I love talking to you, and we get cool information going. So we'll have to set it up for another one in the future then. So
Yeah, brother. Yeah, we can do that, like few months or maybe after some time.
yeah.
Yeah, we can compare information. It's really good.
Absolutely. Well, it was great to have you on here, Sam. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. And until the next video, we'll see you guys later. Love and light.